And Matt Doherty for the beach badge promotion that was run during the Christmas time in order to get more people to go to our local businesses. And I believe we have the badges, and I know we have the winners. So why don't you come on up and do the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Buckafusco, members of the council, chief, director, counselor, Mayor Kane. You know, it's interesting, I haven't been back to a council meeting in a while, but I had the honor of serving in all the positions you served in, and I can tell you, you know, everyone appreciates your service to this community. You guys do a remarkable job, so thank you very much. With me tonight is Jack Slocum. He's our reporter for Tap Into Belmar Lake Como. Jack's job is to write an article every day in Belmar Lake Como. That's 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So if you ever have a story or any business you want to highlight or any folks in town that you want to highlight, please get a hold of Jack. I'd be happy to write it. Again, his job, he's working 7 days a week, talking about and writing about what happens in our community. Mayor Buckafusco, as you mentioned before, at Tap Into, we did a contest this year. When I was mayor, our tourism department held a contest from Black Friday to Christmas to purchase items in Belmar stores. We expanded to Belmar and Lake Como. The idea is to get people to go to the stores. Doesn't matter how much you spend. You could have a receipt for, you know, a pack of gum, or for, you know, a $200 gift certificate to La Dolce Vita. It didn't matter how much you spent. It was how many places you went to, how many businesses you supported. We wanted to see as much foot traffic as possible. We have 3 winners today. Our first one, third place winner, and the third place winner gets 2 beach badges. And our third place winner, shopping at 26 different businesses, is John Walsh. Well, Mayor Buckafusco, as you may know, there are 2 John Walshes in this town. Now that I'm 50 years old, I don't want to say he's the older John Walsh, because now I'm old. I can't say he's the more mature John Walsh, because that would be disparaging to the other John Walsh. So he is John Walsh Sr., Mayor and Council. So John Walsh Sr., we have your 2 beach badges, and thank you for shopping at 26 different businesses here in Belmar.
I just want to say thank you to Matt, and I want to say it's a great program, because there are a lot of good stores and businesses in Belmar, and you don't have to leave town. All right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, our first runner-up in second place, and when she finds out how close she was to first place, she's going to wish she stayed out there shopping just a little bit longer. 63 different businesses in Belmar. Pam Roblack.
I'll take it.
She's still shopping.
The Greek guy in the back said he would take it, but who really trusts him? So I will make sure we give him the Pam. We have her address. And the winner at 67 businesses,
66.
Claire and Sharon Payne.
How many badges?
They get 4 beach badges. Now there's 2 of them, so you want to be friends with them, and so you can sing.
The more recycling you drop off.
There you go.
And by the way, this is not the first time that they've won. They've won in the past.
Last time you had it.
Yeah, so I think you said last time was 2000.
And 16.
Yeah. This one sheet.
Great.
You guys want to say it?
Thank you very much. We were waiting 2 weeks ago, folks, we're here now, and all is good. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Mayor, thank you again. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. again, thank you for your service to our community, really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, next up we have workshop. I have a few things just to update the council on, and if you have anything you'd like to add, discuss, just let me know. The first thing, I just want to let you know that we've been still working on the DEP issues surrounding the beach, specifically the placement of the bathrooms. As some of you may know, we were told basically by DEP that we would have to remove the storage boxes and the portable bathrooms for a number of different reasons, which I won't go into. It's kind of technical, but it's basically, you can't have anything permanent on the beach. It has to be able to be removed in 24 hours if a storm comes. But unfortunately, we have a big slab of concrete under each bathroom that has a drain, a sewer drain, and a water pipe coming through, and basically they don't like that. So we've been working with them, engineers have been working with them. We believe they're relenting on the storage boxes because we can easily remove those. They're not permanent structures, they can be removed within 24 hours. The bathrooms, not so much. They're still saying that they have to be portable, and they're not portable in the sense that they have a fixed connection to the beach. So we're working on them on that. I think we have another meeting set for Thursday, and we'll keep, I use the word negotiating, but I don't know if that's the actual term that we would be using, but we're still communicating with them and trying to get the issue resolved. So that's basically where we're at. Our goal actually is just to get a 6-month extension from them so that we can deal with the issue after the summer and hopefully, you know, meet whatever their requirements are for next summer. So I'll keep everyone posted on that.
And Mayor, just so we're clear, part of the reason there was an extension granted last year to allow this to happen, correct?
Yes, and we actually have a permit, I mean, which runs from May 26, 2022 to May 25th, 2027. It's a 5-year permit. Every municipality gets a 5-year permit, but it's on a rotating basis. So like our permit was due last year, maybe Spring Lakes might be next year. We all won't come due at the same time. But it was during this process that, you know, the borough was told that the bathrooms were not basically there in conjunction with the rules and regulations of the DEP. So we're working on that, and hopefully we'll see if we can to give us a little
I'm
break.
just curious, are we unique as beach towns in having bathrooms and having this connection? I mean, is it every single beach town that's dealing with this, or are we in a unique situation with our slabs underneath the bathroom?
I'm not sure about the other towns. I mean, in some instances, I think some of the towns have permanent structures that have bathrooms in them, which are okay. We unfortunately have 2 permanent structures on the beach, and none of them have public, or neither of them, I should say, has a public bathroom in it. So that's the starting point for us. Even though years ago we had fixed bathrooms, but you know, through one of the storms, I don't know if it was the 1992 storm or whatever, they took down, the bathrooms went, and I guess at that point it made more sense to, instead of putting a permanent structure there, put something there that we could take off and, you know, maintain it off the beach so that it would last longer. I don't know about other beaches and what they have. No?
Yeah, Mayor. Also, the permitting, as you mentioned, is in cycles. So some of the other beach towns may not be up for renewal at this point. So that's why we're facing this now, because we're up for renewal. And what we need to do is put a modification to the permit to try to resolve this issue. So
Right, 'cause my point is that other beach towns have portable bathrooms also, right? That they must remove, you know.
correct, but they may not be dealing with the DEP DEP at this point because their permit is not up for renewal yet.
My understanding was, say, last year was because this is honestly the first time I've heard DEP has this issue about the bathrooms. I knew they were worried about having something that was gonna be able to be moved within a 24-hour notice. And I thought we had kind of addressed that by taking those old large bathrooms and ordering mobile ones. But my understanding, last year the understanding was they didn't want us to put the lockers on, and that was what we got the extension for, to put the lockers on, when we explained that if we don't have the revenue from the locker rentals, we're not gonna be able to charge what we charge, we're gonna have to charge a lot more. And I mean, they understood that argument. I'm not really sure what their concern is. Is the concrete gonna become airborne or what? I mean, what's the idea?
I think it's more of a concern that they're worried about the actual sewage infrastructure there. And it seems to be that,
Okay.
they seem to be taking sort of a heavy-handed approach here where they don't really need to, because I think the DEP fails to realize that we have a much bigger environmental problem if we have 60,000 people on the beach in a weekend with no place to go to the bathroom.
Indeed. I think that's a real lack of understanding on that.
Yeah, I think it is as well. Mr. Kane, is it fair to say that, you know, we're just trying to get caught up on some of the permits? I mean, the permit application from last year was probably the first time we've done an application in several years, is that correct?
Yeah, it's every 5 years, and I think one was missed, which put us on DEP radar, and so now you know we're just being watched, and the fact that our permit application needed to be renewed, they were taking a different approach. It's an interpretation of the sewer laterals on the beach and the slab. Their interpretation is anything that sits upon that slab becomes a permanent structure, even though the bathrooms themselves are on trailers and they're put there. It's an interpretation. We're in discussions, or as the mayor says, negotiations, to just try to get to get an understanding, and we're actually trying to get them here so they can see it firsthand. But it's an interpretation that they consider anything on that slab as a permanent structure. We think it's temporary, and that's what we're trying to do.
I think one other thing in conjunction with that, and kind of the sense that we've gotten is some of the leadership at the DEP has changed, and I think that is what has trickled down to change some of the interpretation that is being, used now, whereas maybe 3-4 years ago it was interpreted another way. So there's a lot to the rules. It's kind of bureaucratic. You start looking at them, you get a headache, because they refer to all different kinds of standards and Army Corps of Engineers and this and that. So it's a complicated area, but I think we're progressing towards coming to some resolution. So I'm optimistic. Any other questions? No? Okay, the next thing is, I just wanted to let the council know we are, this has to do with civil service. Just a quick update. We kind of discovered that we have a number of employees, many of them in public works that have provisional titles. And for those of you who may not be familiar with civil service, you have permanent titles and you have provisional titles. Usually a provisional title within 6 to 12 months gets converted. I shouldn't say converted, but a test occurs, or you meet some requirements, and then you get permanent in that title. We found out recently that we have about 9 individuals who have provisional titles for way longer than 12 months. So we met with our consultant, her name is Cynthia Cotton. She reviewed everything, she agreed, and right now our HR person, Samantha Waters, is under the, she's taking the steps to try to get people into their permanent titles. The reason why this is really significant for the person is that to move up the ladder, to go to sometimes to the next level, the next title, you have to be in a permanent title for at least 3 months. So what's been happening, or what could happen potentially, is I could be in the right title to move up, but if I'm in a provisional title, I can't move up because the civil service rules say I have to be permanent. So actually, this is gonna help employees, be ready when the time comes, if there are advancements to be made, that they can then qualify for those positions. Because in a provisional title, you can't qualify for those positions. And it's better for the employee in the long run to get themselves back up to a provisional title. So that's what we're looking at there, and I think in short order that will all be taken care of, and we'll have that area straightened out.
Mayor, one question. Does that impact only DPW employees, or are we looking at other departments as well?
No, we do have some clericals that are in provisional titles, but it's a little different situation there. But we'll work with all of them to get them into their correct titles. Lastly, good news, we received a letter from the Department of Transportation. Some of you may recall about a year or two ago, there was a senior citizen was hit by a car crossing from the senior building across 8th Avenue. And at that time, a lot of discussion took place about what could be done. And what ultimately has happened is we finally got approval from the Department of Transportation for them to make crosswalk improvements. And I'm going to, there's a nice picture here, but there's no way that we could actually get it up on the screen. We tried before for everyone to see. The council members have it, and we're going to, I asked April if she could put it up on the website. But basically what's going to happen is the Department of Transportation is saying they're going to move the crosswalk closer to Main Street, possibly like right across from, not right across from the driveway, but towards the railroad side of the driveway. And then they're going to install I don't know if you've ever seen them, the flashing lights. When you press a button to cross, they have these yield signs and the lights flash on both sides. And in addition to that, they also have a traffic light that will turn red, which will stop the traffic. So, I mean, I think that's about as much as could humanly be done to make sure that those cars stop. I think the reason why they moved it down, number one, it was too close to the railroad tracks. It was very hard to see. As we all know, when you come across those tracks, you don't even realize that there's a crosswalk there because there's just a sign right now. Moving it down a little bit, I think, will make it obviously safer for the seniors, plus with all of the additional lights and traffic lights, I think it's really going to solve the problem. The next thing we will follow up on is the enhancements to the 8th Avenue and Main Street area, where we need to have the crosswalk signs and make sure that there's a turn on left, because we all know once you get to Main Street and 8th, some people want to go straight, some people turn left, other people stay in the right lane, they go straight, so it's a little bit of a mess there. So I'm hoping that since we got this, the next step will be for them to work on the 8th and Main. Maybe we can convince them to do it at the same time, but we'll see what happens there. So that's good news. There's no time span for this. They sent it to us. They said they would come out, and look at it with us if we would like. Like I said, I think it's moving in the right direction. Hopefully, we'll get some kind of a time, on when they expect this to happen. But it's an approval, which is great. Anything else to? No. Like I actually did the most important thing I did as mayor since I've been elected is I actually met with the pre-K students. I think it was Mrs. Dilly's class. This morning, 15 pre-K children, and now I'm known as Mayor B. So we read the I Love book, and it was a lot of fun. And we gave them stickers and little bookmarks. So I think I've opened up the Pandora's box, and now I'm going to be going to Belmar Elementary School on a regular occasion, which is fine with me. So, anybody else have anything you want to discuss? No?
I just want to say I'm really happy to finally see this. We've been being told for years that DOT was working on that intersection, working on it. People were always asking me what's happening. And at least now we have a picture to show them. And as soon as they tell us when they're gonna come and do it, we should let everybody know. That would be really good. But that's good news. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with pushing for 8th of Main as well. That's been a really troublesome intersection, and there's no crosswalk there.
Right.
Or no light to indicate when to cross. It's one of the busiest intersections that we have in town. So,
Well, on a positive note, the drawing that they gave us actually does show the left turning lane onto Main. So obviously they have that in their sights. So we just have to, give them a little push maybe, see what they can do for us.
You can read that? That's good.
Right, any petitions? April?
I don't have any petitions.
Okay, I guess we're going to approval of minutes.
Can I have a motion to approve the January 24th, 2023 minutes?
Make the motion.
Second. Okay, Councilman Brennan?
Abstain.
Councilwoman McKinney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckafusco?
Yes.
Councilman Rondonero?
Yes.
Councilman Levis?
Yes.
Reports of council? Councilman Brennan?
Oh. Okay, I'll go first. Thank you.
That's all right.
Did I go out of order?
That's all right.
Oh.
Usually starts out of that, it doesn't matter. Let's see, Tourism and the Environmental Commission had meetings last week. The Environmental Commission is actually breaking up into subcommittees. We could definitely use people who are interested in helping out. They could definitely use some more bodies. You don't necessarily have to be a member of the commission, but we definitely need some people to help with some of these projects. They're having a water quality, which also involves Silver Lake. And you're gonna see a lot more PR and outreach from the Environmental Commission. There are actually several communications specialists on the Environmental Commission, and we're gonna start using social media. You're gonna see more of that, more stuff from them. They're always talking about how we used to have the print version of the EcoWatch. People like the newsletter. I hear all the time. It used to be up on the refrigerator. The borough doesn't do those kind of mailings anymore. We used to piggyback them with the water bill, but we don't mail envelopes with your water bill anymore. So this is a way to replace a lot of that content. Tips about what can be recycled, tips about how to take care of your lawn so you're not polluting and having a lot of runoff. Other things like this, even reminders about don't put your leaves in the street, put them between the curb and the sidewalk, stuff like that. So if you're interested in helping out with any of that stuff, second Thursday of the month, 6:30 in the library. Tourism is working really working very well. I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to hear this. They're mostly right now, they're focusing on the Seafood Festival. Seafood Festival is coming along swimmingly. It's going to be at Silver Lake. Okay, we're going to move back to the old site. The general consensus is it's a better site. It's more conducive for more people to sit. It's more conducive for families to be able to come and spend some time. And what's better than seafood where you can see the ocean too? And other than that, that's it for me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman McKinney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had an ADA meeting a couple weeks ago, couple little things, just that the overall consensus is that the handicap parking is a lot more available to those that need it, so that was really good feedback. And the handicap railing and ramp is finished at St. Rose Church now. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but that's actually really great. The Circle of Friends is having their Valentine's dance tomorrow night. That is at Taylor Pavilion, 5:30 to 8 p.m. And if you need more information on that, they have a Facebook page, Circle of Friends, HYDAS, you can find out there. The next ADA meeting is March 2nd. And then recreation basketball has been in full swing with high numbers. Lots of kids are enrolled and doing really well in basketball. Recreation is gearing up for the Easter egg hunt, which is not until the end of March, but they are looking for volunteers if anybody wants to help out with placing the eggs in the sand. They also need a volunteer for someone to be the Easter Bunny. So if anybody would like to dress up as the Easter Bunny and help out at the Easter egg hunt, that would be great. You can reach out to Barry in Recreation. And all the fitness classes and yoga and all that are still going really well in Taylor Pavilion, $5 for every class. Shade Tree Commission. So the Shade Tree Commission, they're working on their hazardous tree list. This is a number of homes that own trees on their property that are between the sidewalk and the street that are going to need to be removed. So they are working on that list. Apparently there's a number of residents who will be getting a letter that they need to remove these said trees. So more info to come on that. We are welcoming Diane Calabrese as part of our Shade Tree Commission. She's a new member on the committee. And they are also actively working towards Arbor Day plans. And then a couple quick things around the schools. Belmar Elementary pre-K and kindergarten registration is the February 23rd and 24th. February 22nd and 23rd for the 23-24 school year. Belmar Elementary script spelling bee is February 22nd for the 5th and 8th graders. And the drama club production of Beauty and the Beast is March 10th and 11th. St. Rose Grammar School is having a big pocketbook, this is their big fundraiser, big pocketbook bingo. That's not until the end of March. More information to come with that. St. Rose High School is going to be doing a lot of events this year. It's the 100th year of St. Rose High School this year. So there's going to be lots of things happening, but a couple quick things around the sports. St. Rose boys and girls basketball are doing really, really great. If you guys get a chance to catch a game, you should. They're both in the Shore Regional semifinals right now. Boys indoor track won their New Jersey Catholic Track Conference Championship. And both the high school and the grammar school are gearing up to be marching in the St. Patrick's Day Parade. They're having a float, and the St. Rose High School will have their pipe band, which is also going to be performing at the parade. And that is all I have.
Good, thank you. Councilwoman Rondinero.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. First, I wanted to thank our business administrator, Kevin Kane. Last Tuesday, he presented a questions and answers session about the NJ Anchor property tax relief rebate. And a big thank you to Louis Polito at the library for helping residents fill out these applications online. The library is a wonderful resource. Please use it. Tell anyone you know to use it. The deadline for the Anchor program is February 28th. If you still haven't applied, don't delay. You may have money coming. So please look into it. If you have any further questions, please contact the library or you can contact the borough here. The Chinese New Year celebration at the Taylor Pavilion Saturday was a great success. So many were in attendance with catering from Belmar's Triple Green and performances by My Young Performance Group. It was really phenomenal. The library is planning their annual soda bread contest and Irish celebration for March. Tentatively, it is March 16th at the Taylor Pavilion, so stay tuned. The Belmar Housing Authority met last Monday and is working on fixing the brick facade. There's cracks, water damage on the outside of the building. They're working on securing the funds right now for the mesh and the scaffolding that needs to happen to keep residents safe. The engineer is getting bids for this project. Additionally, bids are out for an upgrade to modernize the old elevator there, which is in dire need of a new control panel and doors. I, along with the administration, have met and spoken with residents in the building and are following up on quality of life issues. I've advocated for the return of their triplicate work order forms so there's no confusion when a condition arises in the senior building. The resident gets a form that there's a work order that needs to happen, the super gets one, and then also the executive director gets one. So then it can be followed up appropriately. There was question at the last meeting as to whether the ACs in several of the units will be able to be put back in during the summertime. The answer is yes. They do need a doctor's order in order to get those units to be put back in the window. But it shouldn't be very hard to get your doctor to say you need air conditioning for the summertime. I did speak with Executive Director Paul DeSantis and discussed how issues are being handled with plumbing, replacing the seals around the toilets that lead to the leaks in the ceilings. Additionally, I reached out to Congressman Smith's office regarding help with funding of these emergent conditions. I spoke with Jessica Rohr, the Director of Public Affairs and Public Outreach, and we'll follow up with her later this week. The senior building is a federally funded building, but the residents are our neighbors. They're our Belmar neighbors, they're our constituents. And we'll continue to work on their behalf to advocate for repairs to help improve their quality of life. Thank you.
We'll see if there's anything left for me to report on. The next parade fundraiser is happening this Sunday at the Friendly Sons of the Shillelagh Club. Pat Roddy will be playing. Please go support the parade, buy a t-shirt, enjoy some merriment. Have a good time. It's a fun time, and it really helps support the parade so they can put it on every March. There was no Harbor Commission meeting between our last meeting. The next Harbor Commission meeting will be next Tuesday, right here. So if you'd like to come find out what's going on with the marina, and we certainly have a lot of things going on with the marina, come on by. And then lastly, I just want to say, we had a couple of meetings with Kevin Kane, and we've been discussing the possibility of potentially doing a veteran-friendly municipality certification. So that's on our radar and hopefully coming up this year. That's all for me.
Thank you. One thing I want to add, I don't think I had any meetings the past 2 weeks, but I kind of recall talking about the DEP issue. We are looking for photos of the beach, the boardwalk, going back to around 1992. And I think the reason for that is if we can show that those bathrooms were there, those slabs of concrete were there, we kind of get grandfathered into an approval process. I'm sure, is that basically what we're doing, right?
Yes, that's correct, Mayor.
Okay, so if anyone has photos going back to the 1990s, I had some of the storm, but 1992, but it didn't show any of the bathrooms because it was all down by 18th and 19th Avenue. But perhaps, family photos, and in the background, you see the bathrooms. I don't know exactly when those bathrooms actually went into use. I can't recall, but if you have them, just let, you can let Mr. Kane know, or April, or me, and we'll take a look at them.
They were pretty good.
You would know?
You got
Yeah. So we're searching. We're trying to, cover all the bases, as they say. So if you have any, just kind of let us know. Okay, that's it for reports of council. Public session on the consent agenda.
If anyone would like to speak about one of the resolutions on the consent agenda, please step forward, state your name and address. Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolutions as listed on the consent agenda?
Motion. Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman McKinney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckafusco?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rondinero?
Yes.
Councilman Levis?
Yes.
Next is first reading and introduction of ordinance 2023-1. This is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 11 Personnel for the purpose of eliminating the position of Director of Special Operations, amending Section 11-16 and Section 2-11. Do we have a motion to offer for first reading and introduction?
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman McKinney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckafusco?
Yes.
Councilman Rondinero?
Yes.
Councilman Levis?
Yes.
And that's all of our items on the agenda. Next is public session. If you'd like to speak, please step forward, state your name and address first.
Linda Sarkis, 4th Avenue. I have two things I'd like to discuss. One is, are we planning to have community policing this year?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's been no discussion of not having it, so I'm
Okay.
assuming
We may
are having it.
be trying some new things with it, revamping it a little bit, but yes, it will be in place, and Sergeant Popper's going to be the liaison for it.
Okay. And my second question is, we've had a lot of homes removed in the borough, and what's been removed with them are all the trees on the property. Is it possible to create an ordinance that if people take down trees on their property, that they replace, if they don't want a tree back on their property, that they place one somewhere else in the borough? Over in Interlaken, to have a tree on your property removed for anything, you need to get a permit from the borough and approval to take trees down. And we're out of control here. Properties are being moonscaped. And I just hope that we could do something to save some of the bigger trees. We have a lot of old ones, but shade and root structure is important for our well-being in the community. Thoughts on this concept?
I know the Shade Tree Commission has been working on, they did a survey of all the trees in the borough. I think it was last year or the year before, they actually were able to get a grant to hire an arborist to come through and do that. I do think, and I'd have to ask council to check, I do think we have ordinances in effect that say that if you remove a tree, you must replace it.
That's only on it's my understanding, it's only the property between the sidewalk and the curb that's covered by our ordinance. What I'd like to see in place is something further reaching to cover trees, on your property. If you decide, like, you want to put in a pool and you want to remove all the trees because you don't want leaves in the pool, that would be something too.
That's more of a legal question, I think, in terms of what we can have private homeowners, do or not do.
I know that other towns have similar ordinances. I could look into it.
Okay.
I'd really appreciate that, and I think it would be for the betterment of Belmar.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I do know in Arbor Day that all the schools plant trees every year too, so there's always some replenishment of trees. I understand what you're saying about the private homeowners.
Anita Pecorelli, River Road, not River Road, the River Ridge Apartments. Rent today, year-round rent, has been skyrocketing in the past years, leading to poverty and homelessness. I'm under the understanding, and I could be wrong, that the municipalities can cap the increase the landlord can put onto their tenant. Would this mayor and council be willing to research, create, and maybe enforce such an ordinance to help keep Belmar affordable?
Well, again, I think that's something we would have to look into in terms of how far we could go, whether it's practical. Is it for multi-story buildings? Is it for private homes? I mean, there are a lot of pieces to that puzzle. So maybe we can take a look and see what, if anything, might be some of the options.
Okay. Have you talked to the Historical Society about your pictures of bathrooms?
I believe we have.
Okay.
I'm sure Mr. Kane has talked about them. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Tom Deliver, 1000 River Road. I had a couple of things, but I'll add two more. About what you've just been saying about 8th and Main, it's a tough corner for pedestrians. The main thing that's wrong in that corner for pedestrians, whatever way they're going to move, is a car coming behind them on a turn. This is really bad stuff. I mean, I'm a walker. Most people know that I walk a bit and everything. I would suggest, of course, everybody will say, oh, it's terrible and everything. But the best thing for a person that wants to get across that street there, across Main, is to jaywalk between 9th and 8th and 7th and 8th. Because there's no traffic coming behind you, which is the real danger. You only have traffic coming one way and the other way. And you can judge the speed, and you know how fast you can move and get across the street successfully and everything. I know people hear, oh, jaywalk, that's terrible. Cross at the green, all that stuff. But that's not the reality of walking. I'll just leave that because nobody's going to recommend it, but that is the correct thing to do. Now, the other thing about the bathrooms, knocking around about the bathrooms, which is a bunch of baloney as far as I'm concerned, but there's an answer, an easy one. Don't put the bathrooms out there. Line ocean with porta sands. You'll pay for the porta sands by the money you save by not hiring the bathroom attendants and having them sitting there all day on the payroll. Just a thought. Now, as far as the seafood fests go, now the last time we had it at the lake, it was really, really close to a real disaster. We came within a hair's breadth of really bad stuff happening. And to bring it back to the lake, as far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't be anymore. Because the crowds are more and more tense and unruly, and this is X amount of years down the road. There's all sorts of scenarios here. If the town seizes up the way it did the last time when it was at the lake, and nothing could move, and let's say you have a riot, okay? The police can't get there, or enough police, or whatever. Let's say we have a fire. The firemen can't get there. Let's say somebody takes a heart attack. The EMTs can't get there. The only good thing is that nothing happens. And when nothing happens, at this day and age, it means you got lucky. That's all it means. To go ahead and do this in 2023 and beyond is real folly. You're taking a shot. All right, I'll leave that. I think I've made my point. Now, the skate park. This idea of the insurance saying, oh, it's dangerous and everything. Everything is dangerous. Everything. There is nothing in this world that's not dangerous. Am I standing here? I'm in danger. Who knows for how, but I'm in danger. You sitting there, you're in danger. But to shut something down for a couple of years that the boys in this town really enjoyed. Now, I pass by there quite often, and that thing was always in use, except on an inclement day with rain and that, but totally in use all the time by those boys. Granted, 90% of our boys I didn't see because they're playing with their gadget in their basement. But the 10% were out there because they loved doing that and everything. And it was shut down. Now, it's not a big deal here. It's only a small area. All we have to do is get the DPW to go in and refurbish it and get it going again because those boys loved it. And this idea that we're going to be sued, yeah, we're going to be sued. Anybody under 50 has their lawyer on speed dial because they're going to sue about anything. We know that. But the thing is, it's like being in the meat section in ShopRite. First thing you got to do is take a number, right? Well, when you sue, they got to take a number too. By the time they finally get their reward for suing, the dollar won't be worth anything anyway. So, it's a win-win thing for the boys anyway. Take a shot. Get it going again. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Anna Murray, 214 18th Ave. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Thank you.
I have a few things that I'd like to address, but my main concern are the four corners on 18th and Snyder. They are the only four corners, I believe, in town that are not handicap accessible. A few years ago when we had our sidewalks done, I went outside to give the workers some water, and I asked them if they were going to take care of the corners. And the response was that it was up to the individual owners of the house and on those corners. Do you know if that's true?
Well, I don't know off the top of my head if that's true.
I'm not sure. I always thought if you were doing any kind of reservation to the sidewalks, they had to be ADA compliant. It was not a choice.
Because, you know, I'm wondering, the whole town is handicap accessible, and did those owners pay to have those corners fixed? So could you please look into
We'll
that?
look into that.
2 years ago, there was a woman heading towards the ocean in her wheelchair. And I was at the corner with my son's dog. And I yelled to her, you might want to use the driveway. And she said, no, I'm okay. And she wasn't. I was glad I was there because she got the front wheel down and then she went over and I had to help her. This past September, October, a little boy coming from the ocean, and he was speeding on his bike on the sidewalk. And he came down the first curve, attempted to go up, and he flew off his bike. He landed in the grass on that particular corner, and he just scraped his knee. And I said to him, why don't you use the street? And he said his dad doesn't allow him to ride his bike in the street. So who would you send out to look at those four corners?
Well, I would assume we could either send out someone from DPW or
yeah, we could look at the
Okay,
take a look at it and see what.
And then would they get back to me, or would I, you know, come and address it again, or?
Or we might actually even have to have, maybe the engineer look at it too. I mean, the first step is for them to look at it and see what the situation is.
Okay.
And then we'd have to find out, again, legally, does it have to be done? Can it be done? Who would do it? So.
Is 18th the county road? I don't, some people say it is, some
Not
don't.
that part of that.
It isn't, okay.
There was a sidewalk assessment done a couple of years ago, so were these corners replaced during that period of time, or are they, okay, so at the point of.
Not that I'm aware of.
One of them was.
One was.
Replaced with just a normal curve, not with a handicap.
But not with handicap?
Yep.
That's incorrect, it should have been replaced with a handicap.
Yeah, I mean, go out and see it. The other concern I have is the speeding down 18th. We've had our house for over 20 years, and we've seen many near misses and some that didn't miss. Last year, there was a 2-car accident right on that corner of 18th and Snyder that resulted in a 3rd car being hit too. Is there any reason why we can't get a stop sign? If you travel down 17th heading west, Lake Como has a temporary stop sign. They put it up in May and then they take it down in September. This is the first year that they didn't take it down. It's the corner of 17th and White in Lake Como. So, if something like that can be done, if they don't want it permanent, I've been told that one of the reasons that they don't want a stop sign is because of the trucks that travel down to DJs. But in my mind, what's more important, the trucks traveling down without having to stop, or the safety of the people that travel those streets.
All right, we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
And if you could either leave it with April or your email address.
Okay.
And we can get back to you.
Okay.
On both of those issues.
And another concern, next door to me, a few years ago, the house was labeled an animal house. And believe it or not, the noise bothers my husband, it doesn't bother me. But what bothers me is the garbage and the recycling. And these last few years, we've worked it out with the owners and the kids that rent. And it's more or less under control. My concern now is, for the Thursday recycling, they're not going to be there, the kids. So you may have, discussed this, and I apologize if you have to repeat it, but do you have a plan on how the recycling is going to get out? Are the owners responsible? Who's responsible?
Well, I mean, I believe the renters ultimately are responsible.
The renters or the landlord is going to be responsible for getting the recycling out.
And how? So they will be notified that it is their responsibility?
Or they're more than welcome to take it to our recycling center. It's open 7 days a week. Before
The
they-
kids will never do that. Never. We were lucky to get them to carry it to the street. So if, you know, renters can, I mean, the owners can be held responsible or let them know who the responsibility is, that would be great. I mean, there were times that we couldn't even open the windows on that side of the house facing the renters because of the smells from the garbage and everything. There were maggots, but I have to say these last few years with the owners, it's been under control. So we're happy about that. And one last thing, and this has nothing to do with you, but I was appalled when I heard town residents were called names after raising some questions at the last meeting. I feel it's absurd that this happened, and I think that person should be ashamed of himself. And I'm hoping that I'm not going to be harassed, because I have some questions to ask too. And it's regarding John Walsh. And I talked to John before the meeting. I like John, and I said to him, this is nothing personal, it's just a few questions that I have. And the first one is, what are his responsibilities?
I mean, these are personnel issues, so I'm not sure. I mean, in general, he's my confidential assistant. So his responsibilities, I could tell you what they are today. They may be slightly different tomorrow. They may be slightly different next week. So basically, his responsibilities are subject to my needs and, you know, areas that I feel need to be looked at in conjunction with the business administrator. So.
And does he have an office?
Yes, he does.
He does. And will he be there full time?
Yes.
Okay, so if we have questions, do we go through John or do we come through you?
Depends on what the question is. I mean, obviously, general questions can be sent to me, they can be sent to the business administrator. That's where I would start. You know, or if it's something to do with some of the things that April handles, then you would deal with her.
Okay. And do towns this size normally, you know, need or have confidential secretaries, or is this just some?
That's a hard question to answer because every town has a different setup.
Mm-hmm.
Some towns have more administrative staff, and it may be called an administrative assistant or administrative clerk. Other towns, I know there are other towns that have confidential assistants. It depends on how things have been organized,
Okay.
and you know, and really the whole structure of the Department of Administration.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
There's one on my card, you can start.
Oh, thank you.
There might be questions.
It's all right,
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
500 Main Street, Daniel Colon. Good evening, everybody, Mr. Mayor and Council. Nice to finally talk to you guys. My name is Daniel Colon, and I own the Handsome Devil Barber Shop on Main Street, 500 Main Street, Suite 101. It's been a while, so I'm just going to stick to the script that I wrote. So, okay. I'm here to speak about the parade route. I've asked several different people in the previous years questions about this, and I've gotten the same response every year. The parade starts at the beginning of Belmar and ends a block before the end of Belmar on 6th Avenue, leaving an entire redevelopment project and well over a dozen local businesses with zero exposure. Not only that, but where do you think that all the parade participants ask to use the bathroom when they're done? It's all of us. Not only that, but the buses that haul all the participants literally park right in front of our building, and we have zero, like we can't even see the parade. Nobody can see. They block all of our local businesses. I've very politely in the past asked them to move. I have a client appreciation party at my shop every year for all of my loyal clients. The reason why I'm here is because 3 years ago I decided to become a small business owner, and I specifically chose Belmar because I wanted to be a part of this town and the community. I truly feel like all the businesses in my building alone bring their fair amount of business and new people into Belmar who very commonly say to me, I had no idea that you guys were here all the time. But correct me if I'm wrong, isn't one of the main reasons of the parade to showcase all of Belmar's amazing local businesses? That's kind of what I thought. I just think that it is the old route. We have a brand new building with over a dozen local businesses, and it's time for a route change. I don't really feel like what we're asking is anything unreasonable. I understand that you need means of egress to Route 35 via Fifth Avenue. I also just don't understand why Fifth Avenue can't stay barricaded, blockaded, and patrolled by our local police, and that whole road can stay blocked off. And all we're really asking for is the parade to go one more block and end at the end of Belmar in front of our businesses. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
We don't run the parade.
I know.
So we can just bring your message
I
to.
can speak on this. It does end at Fifth Avenue. That is the way that the parade route goes to Fifth Avenue. We block the southbound traffic from when it comes over the bridge or on Fifth Avenue, so that the participants in the parade, that's the way they filter out. There shouldn't be any buses there. I don't ever remember buses being parked on there. Nobody's allowed to park on that part of Main Street.
Okay, so just for, for the last 2 years, the buses try to park in front of our building, and we've had to police our own parking spaces just so we can get a few of them.
But I don't know how they're getting there because the entire Main Street's blocked off.
They're there. Me personally have had to tell them, and a few of the other local businesses in our building, that we would really appreciate if you guys don't park here. You're blocking our view of the parade. And I understand that it might end at Fifth Avenue, but it doesn't. The parade participants stop marching at 6th Avenue.
We'll bring your concerns to the organizers of the parade and see.
Gotcha.
And, let them know that this is what.
I've asked them a couple times before, which is, again, why I'm here, because they've told me and everybody in my building the same thing over the last couple of years. And again, I just don't feel like what we're asking for is super, I just don't feel like we're asking that much. We just want them to stop marching at the end of Fifth Avenue so that all of our businesses get exposure. So, thank you. Have a good night.
All right, thanks. Thank you.
Chief Scott, are we able to make sure that there aren't any buses in front of Dan's business this year? Is there a way
Yes,
to?
there's no parking there, so I don't know why they would be there in the first place.
Okay.
Ignoring the signs.
And does the parade?
I don't even know how they would get there, because it's all blocked off. That's my concern.
And so the parade route should go till Fifth Avenue?
Yeah.
So maybe we need to promote that those businesses are open, or that we need to continue to focus our energies. We can ask the parade committee more about it.
What practically is happening, I think the parade, the marchers see the bridge and.
I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of it, because I've always been under the assumption that Main Street is closed, from Fifth down to North Boulevard. The only people that are on the route are the participants in the parade, so.
I think what we could share with the parade committee, that there are businesses on that last block, on the 500 block, that would really appreciate seeing the parade.
Absolutely.
I mean, the participants kind of stop when they're up. Like, I can tell you, I told Councilman Kinney, I led those kids from the elementary school band. If I had told them they had to go one more block, they would have killed me. But, they're kids, and they have to do what the band director says, and all the other adults. But if we just tell them that there are businesses that would really like to see the parade, is there any way they can just walk another block? And then they'll send that down the chain, I think.
And couldn't buses park back behind the old Belmar paints or back,
I don't know how the
Yeah.
buses got there. That's my issue. They shouldn't be down there at all. And I mean, there's officers at Fifth Avenue, there's officers at every block. So how they got in there, I have no idea.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Claire Hayner, 18th B, neighbor with Anna Murray, okay? And I just want to reiterate the corners of Snyder and 18th Ave. Because I brought it up years ago when my niece came home from the beach with the 2 kids in the wagon and read me the riot act. Why did I have to walk in the street? All right, and I brought it to council back when, and was told by DPW, Mike at the time, and Ed as business administrator, that, and they looked into it, that no, it is up to the homeowners to put that in, which I could not totally understand, but that's what I was told, okay? Because I would think that you know, and I drove around most of the corners, and I don't think that there are any other corners. There might be a couple here or there, but there's not many, if there are any at all. So if that is the case, and we can get that fixed, that would be utterly fantastic. Because every kid that rides on the sidewalk, I said, watch the next corner, you're gonna go flying. All right, so, and they slow down. They actually say thank you too. So that's a good thing. On the topic of the parade, there's a fundraiser at the boathouse this weekend, right? I think it's boathouse this weekend, Friendly Sons next weekend.
That's what it said.
Unless it got changed, so just FYI.
The boathouse is this Saturday.
Yeah.
So lately,
Then the advertisement is incorrect, or are you reading it right? Yeah, so just FYI with that.
Trust what you see on the parade committee website before you trust what I just said, because it's possible that I was incorrect. But if I show up at the Shillelaghs and there's no fundraiser, I'll be slightly disappointed, so I better get a boathouse too.
Okay, just in case, okay.
Thank you.
All right, that's it, thank you. You know what, before I go, back to Anna again, on the recycling. Are Mondays out completely? Town's not gonna consider doing it?
Yeah, no, Mondays.
Okay, I know when I brought it up last time, that was a possibility, so that's off the table. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Eugene Creamer, 4th Avenue. I guess, all these people talking about the last street corner in town that doesn't have handicapped access. Actually, my corner, actually all 4 corners at 4th and C, none of them have handicapped access there. I go out my driveway. I'm handicapped, but when I'm in a wheelchair, I go out the driveway. I wanted to mention, I had a couple of notes here. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And I want to mention that if you buy a Mylar helium balloon for your sweetheart, make sure you don't liberate it outdoors. The way that things are going nowadays, you know, probably end up in a whale's gut. And that's not what we want. Then I wanted to bring up a legacy matter. This goes back a little bit, and that's Belmar's chapter number 42, affordable housing development fees. And I did see some other, listen to some other commenters here about affordable housing in Belmar. This chapter 42 was effective in August 2019. And this is a model that many municipalities have followed. And it has the oversight of the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. And it is Belmar law. What Chapter 42 does, it establishes a trust fund for Belmar's fair share housing obligations. Also, it is a tool to uphold the borough's master plan. And this is kind of interesting because I've asked this question before, and I know that April is familiar with this. Affordable housing development, the fees are actually are tied directly to the actions of the borough's tax assessor. In other words, the tax assessor is the linchpin. So if you develop property, there's a latency involved that it takes a period of time. Like I said, this ordinance was passed in 2019, and here we are 3 years later. Actually, right now, I think it's overripe. To the best of my knowledge, there's been no fees collected. And the way this works, if the tax assessor raises the equalized assessed value of a property for development, and We all get these cards, all property owners get these cards in the mail every so often from the tax assessor. I'm sure you know what they look like. I don't know how many times a year we get these, but is it only once a year? I got a pile of them at home. Not because my assessment had changed, it's just that my record keeping, I just keep copies of all assessments on my property. In any case, an affordable housing development fee is based on a percent. If the tax assessor raises the assessed value of your property, the affordable housing development fee is a percentage of that increase that the tax assessor raised your assessment. So these affordable housing development fees are tied directly to the assessed value of your property. If somebody wants to appeal their assessment, that's what they can do. They can appeal the assessment of the property, but they can't appeal the affordable housing development fee. That's all that they can do. The definitions within the ordinance are very broad. Everybody in this room here, I'm sure, is a developer by the broad definition that is there. If you're a property owner, if you're a builder, what have you, it's the property owner. You're a developer according to the definition. So everybody's covered by this. Now, I sent an Oprah in, and I got a pretty quick response. This is back a little bit, and April got back to me actually very quickly with this. I got a feeling she's got her finger on the pulse of this affordable housing development fee issue. Actually, it was on September 22nd, 2022, so that's a couple months back. And I requested a list of residential district properties by block and lot where the assessed value was increased after the effective date of the ordinance here in town, and that was August of 2019. And the list came up with, and this was just residential. I was only interested in residential, not the stuff with the development, the redevelopment, and all that stuff. It gets pretty complicated. But there were 616 properties identified. And in all probability, those properties or those property owners have to pay an affordable housing development fee. I guess what I'm requesting here tonight is that instead of just talking about affordable housing, is to actually take action and make sure that these fees are collected. This is no different, or it's very similar to what had happened with the sidewalk, our community sidewalk improvement work. Many of these properties I know have already changed title. They've been developed and they've been sold over the last 3 years. It gets very difficult to collect these funds when you have a situation like that. Actually, when this ordinance was first passed, my interpretation of it was that this would be a constant source of funding to pay for affordable housing, pay our fair share affordable housing obligation. And I realized that it probably wasn't brought to anybody's attention during a voting year, which is understandable because a lot of people are going to have to come up with some money. And I'd like to see that pursued. Does anybody have any questions about that, or?
Well, I have a lot of questions about it. It sounds like a job for our esteemed council to,
I will take a look into that, Mr. Mayor. I am just looking at our ordinance now. It's similar to other ordinances in other towns. I know that it references COA and it references rules made by COA. I think there may be an issue with the fact that the rules have not been promulgated by COA, and COA is essentially out of business. I know all the matters now are being handled by the court, so I will take a look at that. Because the trust fund fees are controlled or attached to COA regulations, and I think the last time I looked into it, those regulations don't exist. So it puts a crimp in that ordinance, but I will revisit it and get back to you on it.
okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Back?
The unemployed John Walsh.
Well, the free badge.
This is about the seafood festival that Mr. Dick Wilberger brought up. I think he was a little wrong on his years. That was about 8 years ago that happened. And that was when it was in the summertime. It's been since moved to May. And that's when Ocean Avenue was closed, which, if you look back before Matt Doherty, and I'm not knocking Matt Doherty, but before Matt Doherty, they never closed Ocean Avenue, because my friend ran the thing. And the other part of that is, he was saying about being dangerous. I've been involved in big things in New York City. If you look at New Year's Eve, you look at it and you go, look at that. But that's controlled chaos. They had a guy up there with a machete. They locked him right up without anything going wrong. When you have something in an area that's cordoned off and like that, and somebody does something in a day and age now of terrorism, people are gonna get hurt. You have it in an open area down there, there's more ways to get in and out, and people, as far as first responders, anybody can get in and out. It's and like I said, it's what's better than to have it down by the ocean. But you know, I know what he was talking about, but that's when it was in the summertime and when the Ocean Avenue was closed down. And first responders, when you come down with the fire truck, I drove a fire truck. I drove it in Manhattan, I drove it in Brooklyn. You don't stop, you just keep going, all right? Those people get out of the way. And I learned that quick. I was a cop before I was a fireman. And the guy goes, drive right at them. They got out of the way. I'm not saying that's what you should do. But it works. But I just think, when I went up here, that thing was, I went up with my wife and said, let's get the hell out of here. That was scary. They had 2 chairs between 2 booths, and people were sitting out on the curb. I was like, I'm embarrassed. And that's all I got to say about that. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Can I have a motion to close the public session and adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
I'll see you, sir. See you later. Thanks for watching.